Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And today, well, today is Hump Day.
Uh-oh. Mike. What day is it, Mike?
It's Hump Day.
Hump Day!
It's Hump Day.
Hump Day!
That's right, folks. Today is Hump Day. This is the day in which we attempt to begin the weekend, sometimes with success, sometimes not. But as I always like to say, the fun is all in the trying. I'm trying real hard, but I got to tell you, these last few weeks, especially with elections being right around the corner, with school just starting back up as a school board member, and with some stuff that we've got going on here with some clients, I got to tell you, I haven't had much success beginning my weekend on Hump Day. It has not worked out for me. Clearly, it's not working out for Mike, because as Mike is trying to be here for the program, he keeps getting called in to work on stuff. So anyway, it's going to be us today. We're going to have a good old time talking about the news, and apologize about yesterday. Was in the middle of doing an interview that was supposed to be over by like 2:45, wound up not finishing up until about 3:45. So anyway, obviously the things that paid the bills got to take the priority, and in that particular case, it did. But I'm here now, and we've still got plenty of stuff to talk about today in the news. So because we got so much stuff to talk about, let's go ahead and get this show started off right the way that we usually do. And you know how we usually do it. We always usually start off with a quick shout out to our sponsors. All right, let's go over here real quick. Okay, so let's begin by taking a look here at, well, it might help if I actually had all the sponsors up, wouldn't it? Let's try that again. There we go. Okay, we're going to start with Hitman Industries. They make rifle and pistol caliber barrels that are available for you to purchase at any length. All you got to do is go to hitmanindustries.net. If you purchased an AR in the last few years, there's a good chance you already have one of their barrels. So why not get another one? Just go to hitmanindustries.net. Then we've got the California Republican Assembly working to help elect conservatives at all levels of government, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. In fact, Ronald Reagan once referred to CRA as the conscience of the Republican Party. You need to find out why by visiting cragop.org. That's cragop.org. Go there today. By the way, if you want to be a part of California's future today, you got to join CRA. And then we've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market at hawgholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com. Why do they spell it like that? Because they like helping Americans wear guns. They like it so much, they're going to give you yours on a discount. All you have to do is use the discount code The Rundown. All caps, no spaces, one word, just like it is right up there. And you will get your Hog holster on a discount today. And then finally, the place where you can get all things, let me say that again, all things tactical except the gun, that would be uscombatgear.com. Now, to make it clear, they specialize in all sorts of tactical gear. No matter what you're looking for, trust me, they have it, right? All you have to do, once again, is go there, check them out. They have a huge selection. They have, what was I going to say? Oh, they have great customer service and competitive pricing, right? Their whole goal in what they do is they want to make sure that you can find it, and then and in particular, specializing in group sales, they want to make sure that you get exactly what you want. Trust me, you will not regret it if you visit them today and look for your tactical gear. All right, also want to invite you, if you have not already done so, to take a moment and subscribe to the 2A newsletter. Now, this is a newsletter that's designed specifically with you in mind. This is why I say that. Because every day, Monday through Friday, except when I'm caught up on other stuff, but let's say just about every Monday through Friday, you're going to get your Second Amendment news delivered right to your email box, right? It's going to be right there in your email box waiting for you, whether you're looking for stuff from the mainstream media or from the Second Amendment media, whether you're looking for blogs, whether you're looking for vlogs, whether you're looking for deals. Trust me, it is all sent. It will all be sent right there to your inbox, right? All you got to do is go there and check it out today. Just go to 2anews.us. That's 2anews.us. And then finally, want to remind you, if you want to read my first book, right? It's not really a book. It's a pamphlet, all right? It's a pamphlet. I got to admit, it's short, it's small, but it's kind of written along the lines of Thomas Paine's Common Sense, right? It's taking a look at government, taking a look at the problems with government that we have today, and what's the real thing that we ought to be looking out for. Not some king on some island 3,000 miles away from us, but it's the folks right here that are currently running our government. You need to check it out today. It's called Uncommon Sense on the Present State of American Government and a Return to First Principles. That just sounds important. At least that's what I want to tell myself. To me, it sounds important. But you need to check it out today. Just look up Uncommon Sense, Craig DeLuz, and you will find it right there at Amazon. Folks, it's only $5. Check it out today. You need to check this out. Trust me. You will find it to be a very, very quick read, a very good read. And you'll find it. I think when you read it, if you're still watching this show, trust me, I know that you will agree with it. And you'll probably hear a lot of things that you've already heard here, except probably a lot more eloquently since I was able to take my time in writing it. Also, finally, want to let you know, if you're watching this program during the 3 o'clock hour on the West Coast or during the 6 o'clock hour on the East Coast, you're watching us live. And we would love to hear what you think about the program, what you think about whatever topics we're talking about. And, all we ask is that you be interested. We don't even ask that you agree. In fact, if you disagree, it's even better, because then it gives me the opportunity to mock you.
Oh, wow. Is that a mockingbird?
Is that a mockingbird? Is that a mockingbird?
No, we're not doing it to be mean. We don't want to mock you to be mean. It's just funny. And mostly, quite frankly, it's entertaining. And when I say entertaining, it's mostly entertaining to me. Oh, I see American Crossfire is back in the house. Haven't seen you for a while. Of course, I've been in and out myself. So once again, thank you so much for tuning in. We very much appreciate the folks over at American Crossfire. Every time they tune in, they always have interesting things to say. All right, let's move on and let's start talking about today's topics. We're going to start with AOC. Now, a lot of you may have missed this, but AOC has basically, and when I say basically, I mean she has unofficially announced that she's going to be running for president. And how did she do that? Did she say, I am running for president? No, she did not. The first thing that she did was she did this public announcement of what is normally a very, very private thing, right? She announced that she is going to be freezing her eggs, right? She made this whole thing a big public thing, right? She did this because she wanted to assure the American public, people who might have issues with a woman president because, women want to have babies and maybe they don't want to have a president who can't do their job because they're not. I'm just saying there are people who think that there are people out there like that. And by the way, there are some people out there like that, probably not as many as you think, but there are people out there who think that stuff. In any case, she wanted to make it real clear. I ain't having no kids anytime soon, so I'm going to freeze my eggs. That's what she was saying. And then comes out, then the second sign. Now if that was not sign number one, and by the way, that was sign number one of what she was doing, right? The second was as she sought to distance herself from woke, right? Distance herself from DSA, distance herself from what she refers to as woke one, right? And in her attempt to do that, this is what's the funniest thing. So the conversation was really about why she did not endorse the DSA supported candidate for governor in Wisconsin. In fact, this woman was one of the few candidates that she did not endorse. Her nor Bernie got behind this candidate. And that's because this candidate had all sorts of whacked out weird ideas. And by the way, not the only DSA candidate to have these weird, whacked out ideas, just to be clear. In any case, she decided to come out and separate herself from the what she refers to as woke one, like the beginning of woke. And this is what she had to say on, I believe this was this week.
Possible to win the Senate, so I've been focused on those legislative races.
What do you make of those controversial statements I'm sure you've seen? I mean, she's
the Thanksgiving dust up. She says she doesn't, still believe that, but, the abolished prisons, abolished police, which is also positions that have been taken by a lot of the progressive candidates who have won. How do you get around that? I mean, those are not positions that are supported by most of
I mean, I think that a lot of these races, even right now, they'll have a tendency to be nationalized.
Yeah.
But these races ultimately are local, and all politics are local. My understanding is that that Francesca Hong has made clear her present stances to her electorate.
Yeah, she's moved away from a lot of that.
Right, she's moved away from it. And I have a local city councilman that has this saying, woke one was crazy.
One was crazy. Okay, that's interesting.
And I think that what's important is that we have to assess what
was it? I mean, did the movement go too far with some of those positions? I mean, you briefly supported the idea of defunding the police.
Well, I think that during this time and especially during COVID, there was a huge opening of the Overton window. We were shut down. There was some of the highest unemployment rates that we have seen because of those shutdowns.
Yeah.
And I think that the doors were really open in trying to entertain any and every policy that was going to get us to a better place. And I actually think that the discussions that were had in that time were quite fruitful. I think that when we talk about crime today, it's fundamentally different than the way that we talked about crime in bringing crime down, right? And I think that we all share in the goals of having as low a crime rate as possible. I think that, during lockdown, of course, rhetoric in that time is not rhetoric that we would use today. And I'm grateful that these candidates have the opportunity to present who they are to their electorate and what they're campaigning on in this moment.
All right, now let's be real clear. When she talks about back in that day, she's not talking about a generation ago. She's not talking about 15 years ago. She's not even talking about a decade ago. She's talking about a window that was, 2-3 years ago? And the wild rhetoric that they were using, right? Many of them still believe. Right? These are things that they have espoused. These are things that she herself has espoused. And notice how she's talking about it in such a way as if she had nothing to do with it. Like she said none of it. Like defunding the police was never something that ever came out of her mouth. Like abolishing the Senate was never anything that ever came out of her mouth. And yet here she is. See, I'm telling you, she's positioning herself to run for president. Because here's the deal. You can't say we're going to tear down the system while you're trying to run for the system. But here's the biggest thing. The biggest reason why she's doing this is because she can read polls too. She understands that most Democrats, most voters, period, will not support this, will not support much of the stuff. And by the way, none of this is new. None of this is stuff that they haven't talked about. And by the way, she's not the only one. It is still going on. Democrats are still are now talking about it, but they're talking about it, it's kind of funny, as if they never believed or said or espoused any of these things. Like you've never heard any stuff like this on CNN.
There are people like Francesca Hong who adapted to a lot of that rhetoric and fully believe it, and she's leading a campaign with that as her values. I think Francesca Hong is a deeply unserious person. I think we've all but lost Wisconsin if she wins this primary over David Crowley. I sincerely hope people in Wisconsin choose differently. But
I don't, to be clear. I vote for her tomorrow.
But she is a reflection of the way we're laughing now, but this is the way a lot of people were talking. White women were apologizing to me about their own whiteness. And so Francesca Hong saying her proximity to whiteness and her biracial son makes her uncomfortable. Quite frankly, if we take that and put it in 2019, it all kind of gels and fits together.
Which is why it's just so ironic to hear AOC talk about woke 1.0 as if, number one, she wasn't a part of it when she obviously was, and she's trying to rewrite history. But woke 2.0 is just as bad. They've maybe adapted some of the language that they use, and they've adopted some of the really easy strategic media moves to say, well, no, I've evolved from that position. The question then becomes, for anyone who says woke 1.0 was crazy, okay, tell us what specifically. Tell us what positions were too far to one side. Was it the defunding the police? Because you'll still get the same answer out of a lot of these folks. They'll just give it in a slightly different way, but their end result is exactly the same.
Well, this is the thing, right? I actually give Francesca Hong a little bit of credit. I mean, unlike AOC, she's moderated her position on Thanksgiving. She's really come around and sort of embraced the middle of the road perspective that Thanksgiving is good and delicious. But to AOC, I would ask the question, if Woke 1 was crazy, well, which priors did you hold during Woke 1 that you no longer subscribe to? Do you believe that children should not be able to have sex change operations anymore? Do you believe that biological men should not be able to participate in women's sports? Do you disavow defunding the police, not prosecuting repeat offenders, the border policies of the first Biden administration? These are all very good questions because haven't heard her change her mind on much of anything from Woke 1.
So
they haven't changed their mind at all. Let us be clear. And you can demonstrate, you can understand it by the policies that they vote for and the policies that they don't vote for. You can understand it because based on the policies that they propose and the ones that they don't propose. All you have to do is go to the speeches that they give, and you come to know that Woke 1.0 is no different than Woke 2.0 or 3.0. It's all the same. They are the exact same policies. They may be better at articulating them. When I say better at articulating them, they may learn how to not answer the questions when it comes to them, but they are still answering the same things. And even Chris Matthews over on Morning Joe and MS Now, right? Once again, but by the way, to be clear, these folks are acting as if they're not the same folks who are advocating this stuff.
Here's what I think, and I've been thinking about this for days now. The DSA has done a favor to non-DSA Democrats, to regular Democrats who are regular members of the party. They've listed what they believe in. Their chair made that clear. It's in Peggy Noonan's column this week. It's very clear. We're going to get rid of ICE, not just ICE. We're going to get rid of the border. We're not going to have a border anymore. We're not going to effectively control people coming in and out of the country. And so I think we're going to get rid of prisons. We're going to get rid of the Pentagon. We're going to negotiate. Well, what happens when your hostages are your former diplomats, like what happened with President Carter? People take your diplomats hostages. What do you do then? You need an army. You don't like to have an army, but you do need to have one. All these positions can be denied by any regular Democrat. All you have to do is go out there and say, thank you, DSA, for telling us what you believe in. I don't believe in that stuff. And discriminate, because you can't follow AOC. I like AOC generally, but she came out and said we're just a big tent party. Well, the problem with the big tent defense is every Democrat has to defend all this crap coming from the left. They've got to say, I believe in all this crazy stuff, and that makes me a Democrat. You've got to say, no, I'm not a member of the DSA, and here's why, and make it very clear. So it's going to require politicians to be good politicians and say, here's where I stand.
Right.
This is what I'm a regular Democrat. I'm for labor unions. I'm for opportunity for everybody. I'm for civil rights. I'm for all the things I believe in as a Democrat, but I'm not with this crowd. And I think that's going to be a line that has to be drawn by Democrats, because I'm telling you, the last 6 weeks of this election is going to be an attack on El Sayed and the DSA in New York and the Mamdani, and it's all going to come out and blame every Democrat for everything the DSA is doing. I don't believe in the DSA plan. I don't believe in their checklist of what they believe in. I'll say so. But running for office is going to require that, I think, before the election.
Once again, the problem is that these positions are not too far off from things that have already been said by a lot of traditional Democrats or policies that they have put forward. Keep in mind the number of big cities that actually wound up cutting police funding, reducing police staffing in their cities throughout the country. Not everyone did. Many tried. But a lot did, and you saw the dramatic increase in crime in those cities, where they redirected money that would normally go to police to social services or to something else. Now, I will tell you this: one of the reasons why Miss Hong lost, part of it was because she was on the intersectional hierarchy. That's it. She didn't rank high enough. Yes, she was a woman. Right? Yes, but as a married woman, the problem she had was that she was a married straight woman, And even though she said she understood that, her intersectionality, the woman said that having a biracial son made her feel uncomfortable. This is something that this woman said. That's how caught up in her wokeness she was. But she was running against a brother. She was running against a black Democrat, a gentleman who had a substantive resume. And when I say substantive, I mean, he had all the right boxes checked. He was an establishment Democrat, but he happened to be a black Democrat. And let's just say that he basically ranked higher in the scale on the intersectional. That's the word I'm looking for. Intersectional scale than she did. Not to mention the fact that she had those crazy Dr. Doom eyes. Anyway, but keep in mind she barely lost. Right? As a DSA candidate, she barely lost. As a DSA candidate, Abdul Sayed won. Barely won, but he won nonetheless. Mamdani won in a ranked choice election. There are a lot of these candidates that are winning, and if they are winning, how are you going to tell the Democratic Party that they do not represent a significant part of what you believe? I mean, these policies are really going to upend a number of candidates, a number of Democratic candidates, and they cannot deny it. You have Chris Matthews here saying all you guys have to do is come out and deny it. Say, I don't support this stuff. The only elected that I have seen come out against these policies is John Fetterman. And y'all want to primary him. I never thought that John Fetterman would be the voice of reason within the Democratic Party. You want to primary him even though he votes with you 95% of the time. You want him out because, he's not willing to be as mean and nasty to Republicans as you are, right? He's not anti-Israel, right? He doesn't want to end the filibuster. But he's with you on everything else. And yet you want to get rid of him. It's funny, what I've noticed, and I had this conversation, the person running for lieutenant governor here in California, she was a former Democrat. As a matter of fact, she was the majority leader in the state assembly as a Democrat. But she was also a person you could talk to. And on education issues, she actually was a strong supporter of school choice. And one of the things she said in our conversation yesterday was the way in which Democrats ignored the will and the need of their constituents in order to support the public employee teachers unions is what, the very fact that if you didn't toe the line on everything, she was like, I was with them on almost everything else. But because I wasn't with them on that, because I was fighting against the most powerful union, public employee union in the state, she's like, they pretty much ran me out. And I could not get their support. Now there's a number of other positions that she has now taken that are consistent with ours as Republicans, but education has kind of always been her passion. It was funny because even when we did the interview, I'm trying to talk, she's running for lieutenant governor, and I'm trying to talk to her about a broad stuff, and we keep going back to education, but education was her big bugaboo. It was a thing she really wanted to focus on. Anyway, all that having been said, the thing is DSA is not going away anytime soon. Yeah, and y'all gonna have a hard time because I do believe that while normally in most cases, where the party that's out of power would generally do better in the midterms, I don't think that's going to be the case here. And I don't because if you look at the Democrat wins, the wins the Democrats have had in some of these special elections, it's largely been candidates who are running as moderates. Spamberger ran as a moderate. Now, she's governing as a whacked out left-wing liberal, which I knew she was. You knew she was from the very beginning. So I don't know that I would trust any of these folks running because most of them are not going to govern as moderates or conservatives. It's just I don't see it. I will say, and I will continue to say, we've got two exceptions here in Sacramento. The gentleman who currently serves as our district attorney, Tin Ho, while he is a leftist in many areas, he is very much law and order and has done an effective job as our district attorney here in Sacramento County. as well as our sheriff, Mr. Jim Cooper. Once again, was a Democratic assemblyman. Of course, he's always been relatively good on guns, and so that's why they never let him near the Public Safety Committee. But he's been in effective law enforcement. So there are exceptions to the rule, but the general rule is right now, especially in partisan office, these folks run to the center in the general election, but once they start governing, they're going to move sharply to the left. And people are, and because you're hearing so much of this and it's gaining so much power within and so much recognition and voice within the Democratic Party, people are not going to trust the Democrats as a whole. They're just not. All right, this next story kind of caught me off guard, and it has to do with a surrogate, right? This is a woman who is basically a surrogate who's basically decided to carry a child for a couple. The child developed some sort of an illness, a heart illness, and the couple wanted to have the child aborted, and she has refused. And she has since moved to Texas, where she will be seen as the birth mother, and she's gotten at least a temporary reprieve from having to go through with the abortion. Here she is on Megyn Kelly, talking a little bit about what's going on.
Did you know this couple when you agreed to become a surrogate for them?
No, we met through an agency, surrogacy agency.
Okay. And as I understand it, you did sign a document saying that if the parents wanted at some point to abort the pregnancy, they could. Is that right?
Yeah, going into this, we had talked about it when we first met, and I asked them kind of their views on termination, and it was a reassuring conversation that really they wanted a baby. They weren't exactly sure what decision they would make if something came up, but they ultimately just wanted to be parents, and so I felt confident moving forward with them that termination would not be their first choice.
Okay, so the contract said they had the right to do it, but you, based on your conversations, didn't foresee them actually doing it. And then the baby, was it a 20-week amniocentesis? Is that what happened?
There was no amniocentesis. It was an ultrasound that the cardiac defect was identified a couple days after 20 weeks.
So then they said they wanted to abort their child, but you are pro-life. And so what did that bring up for you?
It brought up a lot of fear. And I just didn't know what to do. I felt very trapped due to this contract and felt like I had no voice. But I knew in my soul and my heart that I wanted to protect this little boy. And thankfully, my brother was, it was put on his heart to call me and just speak hope and courage into me. And he and his wife even offered to adopt this baby if it meant me not having to go through this late-term abortion.
All right, so here's a story over at the California Post. Let me read a little bit of it to you here. It says, a surrogate who refused to abort her unborn baby despite wishes of the biological parents has scored an early legal victory in the case just weeks before her due date. McKenna West, an Alaskan nurse, is set to give birth to the fetus she named Gabriel on September 2nd. But during her pregnancy, he was diagnosed with the severe but treatable heart condition, hypoplastic heart syndrome, otherwise known as HLHS. His parents, I'm not going to read their names, from California, called on West to seek an abortion, but she traveled to Texas, where she will be recognized as the birth mother under state law. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton filed a petition that urges doctors to give Gabriel life-saving care when he is born and stop him from being taken out of the state. A court granted the petition Tuesday, and it states, quote, upon the child's live birth, medically indicated stabilizing and life-sustaining care shall be provided to the child pending further order of this court. No person shall withhold, direct the withholding, or obstruct or delay that care. Upon the child's live birth and pending further order of this court, no person shall remove the child from the hospital where he's treated and remove the child from the state of Texas. Lawyers for Geiger and Ahmed, for the other two people, have not commented on West's legal victory. Now, the first thing is and here's the thing. This is one of the challenges that you face when you start messing with what God designed. You know, and I get it. You get two people who want to be parents. And so you decide we're going to do this. Maybe she can't carry the child, but maybe we can do this and we can have someone else carry the child. I understand the desire to do that. But then you open up a door to something like this, where now all of a sudden they don't want the child, which by the way, raises the question, what parent, if you are a parent of a child, would you want, I mean, if your child turned out to be sick and you want them put down? I'm sorry, but you're supposed to love your kids, right? You're supposed to want the best for them. You're supposed to want them to be alive. Give them an opportunity. And there's no way you're going to tell me that, once again, if this is something that, yes, is serious, but is also very treatable, and yet the first thing that they decide to do is to take the child's life in the mother's womb, in someone else's womb? Nah. I say you've decided you don't want to be parents. So parental rights terminated. And I think that's pretty much what Ken Paxton did, is when this child is going to be born, I think they're going to have to sue for custody. And then what are they going to do? So let's say they get custody. If they get custody, what are they going to do? They're going to turn around and they're going to tell, what are they going to tell their child when their child gets older? And they're able to go online and read about these stories about, you know, their parents wanting to kill them because they had a heart condition. How do you think that's going to go over? Yeah, I get it. Yeah, like a lead balloon. That's how that one's going to go over. In any case, this is a significant battle, a significant win. And hopefully it's a significant lesson when we start talking about whether it's IDF, whether it's surrogacy. Once again, I'm all for, you know, I get it. I understand the desire to be parents. I'm a parent of 2, grandparent of 4. And I will say being a parent was one of the best things that I ever did. But you know what? There are tons of kids out there who want to be adopted. If you can't have them on your own, trust me, I will tell you this: you raise that child to always know that they're adopted. Don't hide it from them. Tell them up front. Let them know that you love them. And trust me, you will be their mom. You will be their dad. I say that as someone who was adopted from infancy. I always knew I was adopted. You know, I love my mom and dad as my mom and dad. Period. My parents are the ones who raised me. They're the ones that made me a man. So, anyway, this is kind of sad this is going on with these parents. I really do wish they had decided differently. But they didn't. All right, we talked a little bit earlier about some of the candidates, right? The DSA candidates. Well, there's one DSA candidate who, by the way, this is probably the position of most of the DSA candidates, so let's not pretend like El Sayed is any different. But he's got some Second Amendment positions that he does not want voters to hear. This being reported by Cam Edwards over at Bearing Arms. Michigan's Democrat candidate for U.S. Senate isn't making gun control a big part of his campaign, but Abdullah El Sayed has some pretty strong feelings about your right to keep and bear arms. As CNN's Andrew Krakowski, Anyway, reports El Sayed has taken down dozens of videos he posted on YouTube over the last few years because his comments won't play well with Michigan voters. In April 2023, in an April 2023 video, for instance, El Sayed took aim at the Second Amendment. Though the video has since been made private, a transcript is still available. Quote, folks who believe in gun rights, they lean on the Constitution, specifically the Second Amendment, which they say protects the right to bear arms. Never mind the fact that this wasn't really about having a gun on your person. Instead, it was about being able to sponsor a militia at the state level and to protect against tyranny from the federal government. Yes, it was about protecting from tyranny from the federal government, but it was never about the militia, or was never fully about the militia. The right, there is no doubt, and there never has been a doubt, that an individual has a right to possess a firearm, and that right does not end at your front door. And we're soon going to find out that it doesn't end at the state line either. Anyway, the protection of state-based militias to serve as a check on the federal government was one reason for the Second Amendment, but the right of the people to keep and bear arms wasn't dependent solely on the existence of a militia. You see, after denying there is an individual right to own a gun, El Sayed then proposed scrapping the text of the Second Amendment altogether. This is exactly what he said. What if we tweak the Constitution, amend the amendment, and instead of the right to bear arms, we change it to the right to have health care? Imagine what that would mean. That would mean fewer people dying by guns and more people living because they have health care. Maybe 2 words of a change, but it would address 2 of America's most pernicious social ills, literally deadly problems that we could fix with 2 words. So you should think about it. Now, once again, going to come back to this one more time. It is a wrong interpretation of the Second Amendment. By the fact that he wants to amend it or change the Constitution, there's a reason why they made it difficult to change, because any changes that they wanted it to be overwhelmingly supported. They wanted it to be a part of our foundation, our core of who we are as a nation, and that's what our Constitution, our Bill of Rights are. But then there's also just the difference between the 2 rights. Your right to own a firearm doesn't mean that the government is required to give you a firearm. It means that if you have one, you have a right to possess it. Now, that's different from their right to health care, because their quote-unquote right to health care means somebody else has to pay for it. And that's what they're asking. They're not saying, well, if you can afford to pay for it, they've got to provide your health care. No, that's not what they're saying, right? If that were the case, then it would be consistent with gun rights, because then you're saying, well, look, if they're willing to pay for their own health care, they should have a right to be able to pay for it, and they should have the right to be able to get it if they're going to pay for it themselves, right? But what they're not saying is, what they're actually saying is that right to health care means that you people who have health care ought to pay for them. In other words, they're forcibly compelling to take from those who've earned to give to those who didn't. That sounds like Marxism. That sounds like socialism. That sounds like communism. However you want to put it, that's what it sounds like. It's definitely not what we have now, which is a free market economy. And by the way, it's also a very, very bad idea. All right, moving right along, as we've been talking about, the whole men and women's sports has become kind of a thing now. And now there's a story where a football player has decided that they want to play football, right? They want to play in a, it is a female who wants to play in a male league. Yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. I hear exactly what you're saying. I'm trying to find the video. See, did I download the video on this one? So let's refresh it. No, I didn't download the video, but I'll just go ahead and I'll read it here. Oh, that's the wrong story. Oh wait, did I? Let's go here. Here we go. Okay, so cool. I can download the story here. It's just going to take me a quick second to do that. And then we'll talk about it on the flip side. But anyway, so in this case, you have an Australian football player. Now, this person is 6'3" and 200 pounds. So we're not talking about someone who's small. Oh no, I'm sorry. That is different. That is a basketball player. I stand corrected. Hold on. How big is this one? No, I was right. 6'3", 200 pounds. All right, are you going to give it to me? Let me try this again and come back up here. Copy. See, I got to do a better job of being ready on this stuff. There we go. All right, then I can grab it. So anyway, now people have expressed concerns in this particular league, and they're expressing concerns primarily for safety issues. And I think once again, I believe it is a legitimate concern, right? If you've, this is football. This particular football it's not soccer. It's not the soccer. It's Australian football, which I believe to me looks like rugby. I honestly do not know what the difference is between Australian football and American football. It did not look like they were playing American football. But here's the story, and I want you to we'll talk about it on the other side.
The AFL has handed down its findings, allowing a transgender football player to continue playing women's community sport after safety concerns were raised. Westminster's Freya Golding says she's no different from the other players on her team and doesn't pose a risk.
A big hit, but a bigger blow for the Adelaide Football League.
We, to this day, maintain that it is a safety risk.
The AFL's Gender Diversity Policy Committee handing down its verdict after formal complaints were lodged by 3 Adelaide Footy League clubs into whether transgender Westminster Old Scholars player Freya Golding should continue to play.
Hi, my name is Freya and I'm a transgender woman and I play football.
In a confidential email seen by 9 News, the committee determined that it was not satisfied that the player's participation in the competition gives rise to unacceptable safety risks. Accordingly, the player is permitted to continue to participate in the competition.
I'm not the biggest and tallest player going around, and by no means am I a dominant player. I've had some good moments, but it's rare I get in the best players.
This particular player is 6'2" or 3". 92 kilograms, and I appreciate the notion that there may be other naturally born women that are 6'3" and 92 kilos, but they're few and far between.
But the AFL has conceded a further risk assessment may be undertaken if new information comes to light that could impact their determination.
For now, the Adelaide Football League says it's accepted the decision, as has Freya.
I just want to play the sport I love with a great group of people, and I've been so lucky to do that this year, and I want to keep doing that.
Kelly Hughes, 9 News.
So that's the story. That's kind of where things are. I don't even know what to say to that, to be quite honest. But I do believe that if a player winds up getting injured as a result of it, they'll get to sue the league. Because in the end, this is not going to be addressed legislatively. It's going to be dealt with in the courts. And all scientific data demonstrate that this is a bad idea. Anyway, just saying. All right, folks, that now brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code TheRundown, all caps, no spaces, one word, and get your Hog Holster today. Speaking of that, this first one is kind of an interesting video where a gentleman decided to change his gender and enter into a track meet at the college level, or falsely. He did it under a false name. But the interesting thing was, this is a person who was basically running against college athletes, female college athletes, and this is a dude who didn't run regularly, never been in blocks, never run track before, but decided to enter the race. And let's see how he did.
He believes he could win a race against all women. So today, we have Johnny racing in a legit D1 track event. We're testing to see if he can smoke them all in a race, or if they'll make him look like a complete try-hard loser. Hey, boys. Yeah, bro, straight face just like that, you're good to go. Whose name are you going by? What's your girl name?
Sarah, I'm my sister.
Sarah. Does she know that?
No.
She's gonna be unhappy.
I stole her ID.
What makes you think that you're gonna beat women? What? Sorry, that was a weird one.
I'm taller, so my strides are longer. I got heart.
Nothing about them?
Yeah, they're shorter. Their strides aren't longer. But I'm a bad bitch. And bad bitches be bad bitches.
Jesus Christ. There is a lot of people here.
Let's get this, baby.
Let's go. There was one girl walk by you and went, oh, really? You scared her.
I don't know why it's so funny that everyone just stares at me. You've never seen a woman before? Hello, I'm here to get a sticker. Sarah Curran. 100 meter.
We don't even know what time Johnny's able to run. I just asked him what is the fastest time here and said that Johnny runs that. I think we're gonna win every cheat except this one. Really? I got some clips of the women that you're racing, and I will say they look like athletes.
I am an athlete. I look like Thor.
You stand about 2 feet taller than those girls.
Yeah, I can get one of their numbers after.
I'm uncomfortable here, I'm not gonna lie. I think
You're
I'm more
uncomfortable. I have tits on. I'm wearing a thong.
You're in a thong?
This is ridiculous. Dude, I even shaved my legs for this.
And your armpits, right?
Yep.
Wait, let me see your armpits. Oh my god, he's literally up next.
You haven't stretched or anything.
I don't need to stretch. Am I just going?
Yeah, you are.
This race is a straight up college sanctioned event. Don't ask how we pulled this off.
No, it sucked.
Oh yeah.
Short relay team number 10 of the all-time to promote a printer with a 12:67.
Johnny has never used blocks. He's never ran in his life.
Then Sarah Curran in lane 5.
Sarah Curran, that's us right here.
Casper Redlands from Claremont in 7.
Bro, I don't know what's gonna happen.
All right, ladies, please stand behind your blocks.
He's going.
On your marks.
Oh my god, he's lined up. Dude, I'm so excited.
Set.
Oh my god, they're going. Oh my god, dude, let's go! What's that? He's dropped it, he's destroyed!
Good job, ladies.
100 meters, and it was Sarah Curran determined the winner.
Oh my god, Sarah won.
Yeah, someone who never trained, never did anything, never run out of blocks before, running against D1 college level women and wins. Yeah, the hypocrisy just keeps right on flowing. Yep. Anyway, moving right along, this one's kind of in line with our the abortion story. I think this guy makes a very, very good point. Imagine if we had the same sort of restrictions, or we made the same arguments regarding restriction of abortion that we do for restriction of gun rights. What would that sound like?
This is a message for liberal white women. Look, nobody's coming for your abortions, okay? What we really want is common sense abortion control. That means mandatory background checks with mental health assessments, along with entering a national registry for abortions and paying a $200 tax stamp that could take up to 1 year on a wait list to receive. We would seek to outlaw assault abortions occurring after the first trimester, along with high-capacity abortions, including twins and triplets. And ultimately, we would like to limit the number of abortions any person can have because nobody needs more than one abortion.
Nobody needs more than one. Okay. And then here we got one last video. No, you know what? I'm going to save that one for tomorrow because we're running tight on time. Let's go ahead and, well, it's about that time. We're here near the end of our program. So let's go ahead and give one more quick shout out to our sponsors. We've got Hitman Industries. They make rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at any length at hitmanindustries.net. We got the California Republican Assembly, the conscience of the Republican Party at cragop.org. Then there's the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market at hogholsters.com. And then finally, we've got the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun, and that would be at uscombatgear.com. All right, folks, that's going to be it for today. We will be back tomorrow on Throat Punch Thursday to letting y'all have fun. Y'all stay safe, and we will see you mañana.